What?
Train driver.
Train driver?
Trying to stop us from going.
See that green diesel train, Mom?
Yep.
I'll try for another train.
Yeah, we'll have to pull over and wait.
In a moment, if you look off to the left side of the train, just next to the interstate, you'll be able to see Clear Creek settled out of the Georgetown Valley. This is very cool water because it's coming directly from snow melt just off the continental divide. It's a few miles west of here in Logan Basin. Clear Creek is the county its name, and Georgetown is the county seat. The creek works its way out of the mountains near Golden, eventually going to the South Platte River down to Denver. The Platte flows to Missouri, and then the Mississippi carries this water all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, meaning that the water you see today, depending on its flow rate, should arrive in the Gulf in around 7 to 10 days.
You mount it on a drone, and then it'll basically pan whatever you want. They made them where you can hold them down.
Though only a stub and branch line from Denver, this railroad is extremely profitable in its early days, bringing miners, families, and supplies from mountain communities, taking the rich gold and silver ore back to Golden and Denver mills to be profit. This continued until 1893, when the Sherman Silver Purchase Acres were repealed, and the price of silver dropped so low that mining for Arizona was profitable. At that time, tourism became the main source of revenue for the railroad, and as the same as their biggest part of the country and into the world, thousands of people came to ride what was considered a significant engineering marvel of the 19th century.
Why? What's going on?
Silver Plume for a 6-hour train ride. So what they would do is they would hop on board a train in Denver, ride over to Georgetown, look like you've done, and then have a picnic lunch in Silver Plume, and then they'd get back on board a train and take that 6-hour trip back down to Denver and be home for dinner. The heavy tourism in this area continued on until the early 1920s, with as many as 7 trains a day bringing people up here to Silver Plume. However, by the late 1920s, the automobile became very popular. I'm sure most of us have heard of that. And so the passenger eventually began to dwindle. In 1927, they had to discontinue their passenger service, and they continued to run a couple of freight trains for 10 more years. But by the late 1930s, even that business was so poor that they had to file for abandonment of this railroad. Between 1939 and 1941, all the rails and bridges from Silver Plume down to Golden were
Talking about driving, I don't know. We'll see. You can fly there from North Platte, but
It's 2 hours.
North Platte to Denver to Durango.
It's 2 hours.
And it would be nice to have a car. There's a golf course
driving
there in
originally
Durango.
the railroad used to be using this railroad down to
And
Golden.
he likes to golf. So we got to golf.
In the 1960s, the state highway department began planning its interstate highway.
Sometimes we got to look for hotels.
Yeah.
Maybe next year.
That has occurred and has completely destroyed our railroad grade, and all the rich mining history has been lost forever. To prevent this, the Colorado Historical Society managed to petition the highway department and get their interstate moved to the site of Republican Mountain where you see it today.
Where's the green disc at, Mom?
The society secured preservation of the grade and began to rebuild this railroad starting in Silver Plume in 1973. The U.S. Navy Seas and the Union Pacific Railroad offered their aid in rebuilding grade and track, and it took them 11 years to finish it all. But by 1984, both train stations on either side of the line were complete, and every bridge in between. 1989 saw the first passenger train run and was completely rebuilt for its own use. And this railroad has been running trains every year ever since. That whistle signal means that we are about to cross the Highfield Curve, arguably the most scenic portion of this railroad. After we clear the trees to the right-hand side, we'll be able to look down the valley and see the high bridge and the view of the town of Georgetown beyond that. To the left of the train will be a good shot of our steam engine number 40.
Down that way, though.
What?
The high bridge down there. There's the trees going across it right now.
Yeah.
There goes the diesel. Yes.
Yeah, we'll meet you guys.
This whole street area to the left side of the train is called the ballpark. In the early days, there were no trees in the valley, as well as cleared throughout building cabins, mine structures, and for firewood. So the miners and settlers of the mountain communities had to build themselves a baseball diamond and picnic area here, and often enjoyed the weekend watching ball games and having picnics. Perhaps they were the original Colorado Rockies baseball team, but I'm not sure they can compare to today's Rockies. You see, they were playing in the minor league. Don't worry, there's plenty more where that came from. Our railroad, like the original GB&L, is narrow gauge, meaning that these rails are only 3 feet apart. Most railroads in our country use standard gauge, like Amtrak and Union Pacific, where the rails are 4 feet 8.5 inches apart. Narrow gauge is far more practical for mountain railroads, because the smaller cars were able to navigate sharper curves and steeper grades. You're now entering the steepest consecutive portion of our line. This is known as the ladder track, and this is a descending 4% grade, which means for every 100 feet before it travels, we drop 4 feet in elevation. As an example, for those of you that are at the very back of the train in that very last car, you are about 14 feet higher than our steam engine pulling us. The narrow track also meant that the road bed would be narrower, which was good for pulling through terrain like this field of giant boulders for passing through. In the 1880s, there was no machinery powerful enough to move these giant rocks or to build tracks, so the railroaders had to hand drill them, pack them with black powder and nitroglycerin charges, and blast them into small enough pieces that could be moved by hand or by horse. Now, who do you think had the honor of lighting those fuses and running away? Well, only the most agile of us, of course. Children between the ages of 7 and 14 were hired by the railroad companies known as powder monkeys, and due to their natural speed and agility, they could pass to light the fuse and run away before a sea of granite came raining down upon them.
Are we slowing you down?
Yeah, we got. It goes over this water right here.
As you continue around this curve, we pass over the street and we swing across the road. We will also be entering a cut in the mountainside. As you pass through this cut, notice these rock retaining walls on either side. These walls were built in the 1880s by the Cornish miners without the use of mortar or cement, which means that these walls are being held up by friction and gravity alone, much like a jigsaw puzzle. This method is known as dry stoning or dry stacking, and these walls have been standing for over 130 years, which is a real testimonial to those workmen. Having required little to no maintenance over time, these metal retaining bolts you see in the walls were installed after the construction of the interstate, because the interstate is constantly pushing down on this mountainside, and we want to make sure that this wall stays a wall. As we exit the curve, we'll be allowed to get some Everett and Lebanon Silver Mine tour stops. So for those of you with the optional mine tour and those pink or orange wristbands, this is where you get off to begin that guided tour. So please check right now, make sure you have all your personal belongings before you depart the train, and please stay in your seats until the train comes to a complete stop, as indicated by a single blast on the whistle. After that, you can make your way to the center of the train where you can record it, so you can disembark. And please have those wristbands out and visible for the mine tour guides to quickly count you off.
So why isn't any of this snowmelt from where?
Alright, folks, the ramp is down, the train is set. For those of you departing on the mine tour, you are now free to get on the train. Just please have those wristbands out and visible for the mine tour guides to catch you up.
Yeah, look over in the calm area. Over there.
That's a mine thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really myself. Or at least I didn't have him like this. I had him like that. I can see it go.
Where's people going, Mom?
They're doing the mine tour.
What they're gonna do, Mom?
They go and they walk through an old mine. I don't know if they get to pan for gold or not. Where they dig the mine,
Where they used to mine out the silver and stuff. I didn't know if they did gold here. I think it was ore.
This is the last call. Anyone with the optional mine tour and pink or orange wristbands, this is ready to get off to begin that mine tour.
They're still
Yeah, quite a few are going to have it done.
Does there get fish in there?
Hmm.
I'm sure there are.
Some trout, probably.
Where's that? These are train, Mom.
Well, they're sitting waiting for